Yo, what's going on, man? Today is March the 31st, 2023. It's your boy Chris, and this is the Casted with Chris NBA betting show slash podcast. Presented to you guys as always by the Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Be sure to check out all the podcasts that are Basketball Forever podcast have to offer. I recently did a collab with a pod with my guy Gary. He got a pod called Hoops and Cards. He's an NBA card collector. So I'll be I'm pretty sure that'll be dropping soon, and I'll definitely share the link for you guys if anybody wants to check out that. But it's a lot of great podcasts going on over there. Everything basketball related. So definitely check out Basketball Forever Podcast Network. Also, as you guys join, if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button for me if you can. Before we get into the action, be greatly appreciated. Always here to share just a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of information that I have for you guys based on the slate that we have. It's a 13 game slate. We're gonna jump right into it. But like I said, hit the like button for me first if you can. And also before we jump into it, quick recap of last night. 0-1, only had the one official play, which was Boston and Milwaukee to go under the 236. We see that line. We see it shoot up throughout the day, but it really doesn't matter. I think it closed at 238. The game got to 239. It was a crazy finish, man. Did not like the way that they finished at all. Thanasis, however you pronounce his name, Giannis' little brother, headbutting Blake Griffin, and free throws being shot, and so many 3-pointers from guys that can't shoot threes. Uh, Not that Dragic can't shoot, but he came in and lit it up like he should have been in the game the whole time. We also saw Blake Griffin hit a three. Grant Williams hit a late three. So game was gonna fly into the total, but it is what it is, man. Sometimes you lose those ones. Those are pretty nice size bet for me. Lost that one, but we'll get it back. That's two totals that I've played in the last 2 days that have gone under. I've gone over while I've taken the under. What the under was absolutely the right side and was supposed to hit. So it is what it is, man. You can't do anything about it. You just move forward, keep your unit size appropriate, and try to look to attack the next day. Try to look to be a little bit sharper, even though I feel like those were the lines for sure. So let's get into it for today, though, and appreciate you guys in the chat as well. I'll try to keep up with the chat as I go through a couple of these games that I want to talk about as well. I got 3 games specifically that I want to talk about. The first game is, and I kind of hinted at this last night. The first game is this Bulls and Hornets game. I think it's probably the game that has the most meaning. Not the most meaning because the Lakers do play the Timberwolves tonight, and we know what kind of play in / playoff implications are in that game. But this game has a lot of meaning as well. I think it's primetime bounce back spot versus a primetime letdown spot as well. Excuse me. So I'll jump right into it. So looking at this game specifically, first I just want to give you guys the standing updates. It looks like the Chicago Bulls are in the 10th spot, and the Charlotte Hornets, of course, are already mathematically eliminated. They're 26-51, but Chicago is just 36-40. So I know we thought the Washington Wizards were tanking. We still think the Washington Wizards are tanking. They got a big win against the Boston Celtics the other day as double-digit favorites, but they're only 2 games behind, 2 games out of the play-in. Um, they don't look like they're gunning for it, and I'm gonna break that game down in a second because the Orlando Magic do come into town, and they are looking. They were looking to kind of get into the play-in. I guess it potentially could still happen, but probably not. They're on the outside looking in right now after the loss against the Memphis Grizzlies the other day. But either way, needless to say, the Chicago Bulls are in the 10th spot. So if the play-in started, they would if the play-in started today, they would be the last team and have to play against the Toronto Raptors for that, for the play-in game to see who advance to play the other team in the playing game. So this game means a lot for Chicago. 36-40, like I said, right on the outside. They've lost 2 games in a row. And you get a Charlotte team that's actually won 3 games in a row. We know that they beat the Dallas Mavericks twice, and then they also went to OKC and pulled off another upset. So this team has won 3 games in a row now. And I talked about the under in this spot last night. The total, it didn't open while I was awake. I would have jumped on the 225. It's already down to 223 and a half on the books that have it available. And I do think that it'll go down more throughout the day. I talked about, the on the Hornets side, how good of a defensive team they are when they do have Mark Williams. Mark Williams will be available for this game. But on the opposite side, Chicago is a really, really good defensive team against teams that don't have offense. We saw them lose to the Lakers the other day. And also on the in that same regard, this team's also playing against they will be playing against a team that won't be at full strength today as well. I know PJ Washington has been going absolutely bananas, but a lot of these guys have already been rolled out. I do expect a little bit of a letdown for the Charlotte Hornets in this spot today. And I did take the 7. I took the 7. It's up to 7.5. I couldn't talk anybody up 7.5. But if you want the Bulls, you do want to play them early, just because we know that they can, run out of offense at times. So, 3 straight wins as dogs, and they've covered each one of them by double digits in those spots as well. I see some regression, like I said, uh, and I don't want to spend too much time on this game, but I do want to kind of give you guys an injury report. So, Charlotte will be without Terry Rozier. He's already been ruled out. Kelly Oubre is listed as questionable. Dennis Smith Jr. is also listed as questionable, and Gordon Hayward is listed as doubtful. So, if these guys are ruled out, this number will go up. It will probably shoot up to about 9. Um, Today is what I'm thinking. On the Bulls side, Javante Green is listed as questionable, and Alex Caruso is also listed as questionable as well, with Drummond being listed as questionable. I know he didn't play in the last game. Bulls coming off the big loss to the Lakers the other day, but this is a meaningful game. It's a game that I think that they come out here and play extremely hard in. So, real quick, I didn't talk about this, but a couple things I looked at was some regression for Charlotte. So they're actually 9-4 to the under after scoring 120 points in their previous game, and we know that they scored 130 points in that game. So if you look at them, they're only 4-13 straight up, 7-9-1 against the spread, losing those games by an average of 7 points so far this season after they've gone over the 120 point mark. They're just not a consistently good offensive team. So Chicago should be able to get the job done today. Also, one more trend I want to share in this game before I jump into the next one. I looked at I looked at teams that previously won as a dog since 2018, um, where they covered as a dog of 9 points or more, just a straight out win after the All-Star break, and they're playing a team that's coming off a loss as well, and they're the dog in the situation again. Those teams are just 5-21 straight up, 8-17-1 against the spread as well. That's a 68% fade of the Charlotte Hornets today. Those games are also going under at about a 57%. And recently, in this year, those teams are also covering at a pretty high rate as well. So I do like the Chicago Bulls today, minus the 7. I played the -7, but like I said, it's moved to 7.5, and I couldn't talk anybody off. Anybody else still playing it? Like I said, I think the number probably shoots up today. Very, very meaningful game for the Chicago Bulls with them in the 10th seed. So that's what I got for you guys on the first game. Let me see. Anybody say anything in the chat? If so, let me see. And then I'll get to the next game. So, good morning to the chat, man. Appreciate you guys for tuning in with me early on a Friday morning. It's 13 games today, but it's not a lot. A lot of meaningless games too. Avery dropped the chat in here. I'll look at that. I'll definitely take a look at this, Avery. Good morning, Free Minds. Good morning, Michael. Let's keep going though. Let's get into the next game. So next game I want to touch on really quickly is the I want to talk about the Nuggets and the Suns game. I know that so I know that it's only a line right now. I only saw a line on DraftKings at 8.5. Last night when that game was going off, when the Nuggets had lost last night, the line was actually 6. Um, Now you get a line at 8.5, and I'm not sure what the total is going to be in this one. I think we won't know until probably later today. First of all, we don't know the injury implications, and I typically don't even like talking about games where it's so many kind of things up in the air. Nuggets don't need to win anymore. I think they have like a 3.5 game lead over the Memphis Grizzlies, so they'll probably just kind of coast throughout the rest of the season. Probably not looking to win games. The Nuggets also, we don't know the status of Jokic and if he's going to actually play today. So yeah, 3 game lead on Denver. I'm sorry, Denver has a 3 game lead on Memphis. Memphis has a 2 game lead on Sacramento. So these teams can kind of just kind of relax. They don't really have a lot to play for. Um, because more than likely they'll stay in the it'll be that number in that seeding order: Nuggets, Grizzlies, Kings. But back to the game. So we don't have a total in this one. Like I said, Jokic has not been ruled in. But if I'm playing this game, one thing that a trend that I've been following throughout the season is that when the Nuggets travel from home to road, they don't do well in that spot. I have the Nuggets on the second leg of a back-to-back, traveling from home to road, and also coming off a loss. Well, I'm sorry. Let me give you let me say that again. First trend I want to share with you guys is actually not that one. The first trend I want to share with you guys is this season. I've talked about this a lot. This season, when you look at road dogs that's coming off a previous home loss on the second leg of a back to back. So teams that lost at home and then had to travel on the second leg of a back to back in the next game, and then that next game they're a dog. Those teams are 1-24 straight up, 8-17 against the spread. So 68% says take Phoenix in this game. Those games also are flying over the total. 17, 7-1, going over by an average of 12.7 points. Like I said, I don't think it's a game that Denver's going to take, extremely serious. And even if they do, Kevin Durant is, probably going to be a little bit more into his routine and kind of getting his legs back under him. I talked about not liking Phoenix in that last game as much, just because Minnesota is a defensive juggernaut. This team can literally guard every position at a very, very high rate, and with extreme defensive efficiency. So I wasn't on the Suns in the last game. I actually played the under in that game. It looks like the total in this one is going to open at 226.5, or at least I see that as a soft total. I would look towards the over in that. I think that the Suns come in here and pretty much get whatever it is that they want. I know that, like I said, their offense kind of lacked in the last game. I don't see it lacking in this game. So those teams that I'm telling you guys about, previous home loss, now you're a road dog, no rest. They failed to cover 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of the last 12 they failed to cover. And I think we see kind of the same thing today. I think the Suns run away with this one. I couldn't talk anybody off just looking at the team total to go over for the Phoenix Suns if you don't want to, lay the points, because the spread did move to 8.5. But what I looked at was the Nuggets traveling from home to road. They're 12-6 to the over. Of those 18 games where they've traveled from home to road, 13 of their 18 opponents have gone over their team total as well. If you add in that they travel from home to road on the second leg of a back-to-back, has only happened 3 times this season. All 3 of their opponents have actually gone over their team total. And like I said, the Nuggets don't really have a lot to play for. Now, granted, you want to go into the playoffs, at full strength, but they're catching the Suns at a very, very, bad time. The Suns are catching them at a bad time. Also, excuse me, from the Suns' perspective, I looked at the Suns as home favorites this season versus an opponent that's on the second leg of a back-to-back. So they've been beating up on teams. I remember it happening a couple times against the Oklahoma City Thunder. They're averaging 123 points. I'm sorry, they've had at least 123 points in the last four meetings that's actually happened in. None of those games had Kevin Durant. So like I said, getting Kevin Durant back in, getting the game underneath his belt. I will be looking at the Suns team total to go over. And I think money comes in on this total to go over throughout the day as well. I know that the Suns are a pretty elite defensive team as well, adding Kevin Durant, but and their games have gone, more towards the under. But I think the Suns fill it up in this game. I like their team total to go over. Like I said, the line just hasn't come out yet, so that's what I got for you guys in that game. Um, let's see. Darian said Blazers plus 14. Just putting this in the chat. Can stay off the Kings tonight. Just putting this so the chat can stay off the Kings tonight. I don't know. Dan. You got to let me know what support you got on the Blazers. I actually was looking towards the Kings to win this game by 20 again. From my perspective, well, this is what I'll say first and foremost. This is a game you definitely want to wait on just to make sure that the Kings aren't resting anybody. They haven't been a team that's done any kind of injury management throughout the season. Could somebody pop up on the injury report like De'Aaron Fox, who just had calf uh, hamstring tightness, or want to give your big man some bonus the night off? Absolutely, that could happen, and you can see this line definitely drop to maybe 12, 11 and a half or something like that. But I can't see a way that this version of the Portland Trailblazers is going to be able to keep this game close again. Actually, I want to touch on that game real quick. The play that I have for that game, and this is something that you guys could potentially jump on early. The play that I have for that game would be a look towards the under. And James said Kings won by 40. Yeah, they did win by 40. They won what was it, 120 to 80. That version of the Phoenix of Portland Trailblazers is not going to be able to score. Since they have been without Nurkic and Damian Lillard, Jeremy Grant, and Anthony Simons, they have the worst offensive efficiency rating and the worst offense in the NBA. I talked about it yesterday, averaging just 100 points per possession over the course of of the small 3 or 4 game sample. So I'm not saying that they're gonna win by 40, but for them not to cover that number, I think I think you're tripping if you're putting your money on the Blazers. Let's just put it like that. Let's just put it like that. If you backing that Blazers team tonight, best of luck to you, man. I'm not saying that I'm playing the Kings, but best of luck if you backing that Blazers team that really has nothing to play for. What I'll say in that game though is that is a game where you probably want to look towards the under. The Blazers didn't score. They didn't even score 85 points in the last game. So I'm not sure what says that they do score 85 points tonight. The Kings don't necessarily have anything else to play for. I kind of mentioned that already, but you're looking at a Kings team that may just want to stay hot. Yeah, they just may want to stay hot, and even if they don't, like, who's filling it up for? Like, even if Shaden Sharp goes for 30, who else on that roster is going to get you anything, right? Um, so yeah, I think the under is actually in play. I did have a system play on the under as well, and that system tells me I think the total is at 231 and a half. And if you want to play the Kings, I'm sorry, if you want to play the Blazers team total to go under, I do think that that's in play as well. It could be some regression for the Kings because they may not want to go, balls to the wall in this spot. And I don't think that they will. I don't think that they score 120, but I also don't think that the Portland Trailblazers get to their team total either. So I haven't played the under yet, but I probably will be locking in the under. Very, very strong system on that under. Let's see if I can find it for you guys really quickly. I pulled it, but didn't keep it. Let's see. All right, I got it. So that system reads so when two teams are playing each other within a 7-day period and the previous game went under in a regular season matchup, and then the total opens lower than the previous total, This is a system that's been pretty successful throughout the season. Those games are going under since the start of 2007-13 season. It looks like about 50. Uh, I'm sorry, about 63% of the time. So this season specifically, let's see if I can get this to load. Let's see. Let's see. This season specifically, uh, don't look like I can get it to load. It's taking a little while to load. This season specifically, about 55% of the time, 20 and 17 to the under. Those games are continuing to stay under though. So I like this game to go under. I don't think the Kings have to, necessarily score 120 points in this spot. Also, I think the Blazers will continue to struggle to score. So under, I think the total is 231 is another play that I'd be looking at. And I didn't put a banner up for that game, but I did want to touch on that game. So I'm glad you mentioned that, Darren. That was a really good segue. A couple other games before I get out of here because I'm already 22 minutes in the books. A couple other games that I looked at as well. Um, Let me just go through them really quickly. Let's see. Just some quick cap games. I got to take a little more of a dive into. Orlando, Washington. Orlando really doesn't have anything to play for. They're not mathematically eliminated from the play-in, but they're very very close. I do think that them catching 2.5, catching 2 points, which is what it was last night. I do think that line is off. I know that the Washington Wizards typically own the Orlando Magic, but this version of Orlando is better than that version of Washington. Washington is still tanking. They'll be without Bradley Beal. They'll be without Kyle Kuzma. Those guys have already been ruled out. If I'm looking at this game, I'm looking towards the under. I know that the total's dropped already. It's that it opened at 225. It's down to 223 and a half. I see it on some books. You can catch a 224 and a half if you have Heritage. This is a game I think goes under. Orlando struggles to score. When they're dog, they typically play better defense. We saw that their last game went under against the Memphis Grizzlies the other day. Same type role. And they've also covered, I think, maybe 8 or 9 games in a row as road dogs. So I think that they can beat this version of Orlando. OKC, Indiana, not a game I'm looking to touch. Shea out on one side. I think Halliburton out on the other side. I'm off of that game. Toronto, Philly, got to take a little more of a dive into that one. I do think that the right play is probably Philly first half, Philly first quarter. Probably maybe a trifecta spot for Philly. I know Philly's been owning Toronto throughout the season, and Philly's actually Toronto's in a bad spot as far as travel. I think 4 straight home games. Now you come on the road to Philly. So I like, I don't think anybody's on the injury report. The line was at 5 last night. At least when I saw it, it's up to 6, 6.5. I think Philly's the right side in that game, and I think that they probably start early with Toronto being in a bad travel spot. So I'll be looking at Philly first quarter, Philly first half in that game. Knicks and Cleveland. Of course, we know Julius Randle is out. I think that impacts the total, and it probably goes under. He brought a lot of offense to that team, and I think the Knicks trying to get back into form. Defensively, what they were last game against the Miami Heat. I think the Cavs can get the job done today as well. If I'm playing that game, I'm looking towards the under more so than the actual side. I think the Cavs get back to their defensive ways after giving up 120 points in Atlanta the other day, coming off a loss back at home as a favorite, rested. Jared Allen is listed as doubtful in that game. If he's ruled in, that spread is going to jump even more, probably go up to like 6. Atlanta, Brooklyn, not a game I'm extremely interested in. I do think it's extremely high total. It's 243 points. I know that Atlanta can fill it up, but Brooklyn, they typically play defense against teams that can score. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens in that game. Probably a game I'm sitting on the sidelines in, but I do think that and also Atlanta just back and forth teetering. I don't know if people are paying attention to that. They win a game, lose a game, win a game, lose a game. So lines pretty much at a pick 'em on every single book. Probably not a game I'm gonna be interested in. I think Darren touched on the Utah and Boston game. Boston coming off the super big win last night. First game back home from them. Only a short 2-game road trip. I wouldn't be laying 13.5 with them. They got a big game on deck. I forgot who they played next, but I'm not laying 13.5 after you had to use that much energy and effort. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown was so locked in. They outscored the Milwaukee Bucks by 1 point, 70-69, I think, through 3 quarters last night. So I'm not looking to back that team. I know Utah is tanking, so it makes it a really difficult game, but 13.5 is a lot of points, and it's a bad sandwich spot for the Boston Celtics as well. Let's see. Lakers and Minnesota. I lean towards the under 232.5. Minnesota, I'll probably be playing that under throughout the rest of the season. This should be a really, really high defensive intensity game. The Minnesota Timberwolves are elite defensively. I keep talking about it. Been talking about it all week since they got Anthony Towns back. Rudy Gobert out there. The Lakers kind of figured it out last game. It's going to be interesting to see what happens in that game. I do think that it goes under. If I'm playing it, I'm taking the under 232.5. Probably going to make that a play as well. Just haven't given it out yet. Got to do a little bit more work on that one. Detroit, Houston, not touching that game. Clippers, Memphis, it should be a bounce back spot for Memphis after losing their last game. I did see that there are guys that missed the last game. I don't think necessarily on the injury report. Kawhi could get ruled in. He missed the last game for personal reasons. I saw him listed as questionable. If he gets ruled in, you'll get a better number with Memphis. That number will come down from 6.5. But that's what I think happens there. Golden State and San Antonio. Man, San Antonio could win that game by 30 tonight. Total at 238. Probably goes under. I don't think that the San Antonio Spurs going to be able to score. I got to jump a little bit more into that. I think Golden State holds that game down. Typically, when San Antonio has a spread of a total of 238, they typically go under at home. They just play so much better defense at home. So could be a game where they win by 20, 25 points tonight against San Antonio as they kind of mail it in. So I'll be looking. I got to jump on that total. Looks like it just came out at 238. And then I talked about the Denver and Phoenix game. If I'm playing that game, I'm taking Phoenix team total to go over. Looks like the total is at 230, 231.5 as it opens right now. I think it goes up throughout the day. I think Phoenix get whatever they want against Denver. Denver probably rests some guys as well tonight. They just want to stay healthy going into the playoffs and can't really move for seeding. So recap of the best bets for today. I said Chicago minus the 7. Chi-Town, Chicago Bulls minus the 7. Top play of the day for me. Also looking at that the Sacramento game. Like I said, I don't think the Kings have to go super hard tonight. And I also think that the Portland Trailblazers continue to struggle to score. They don't have a lot of scores anyway. So under 231 in that game, I think a 231 is available as well. Based on what the research that I've done, those would be the top plays. Also, I know it's a meaningful game for the Magic and the Wizards, but I do think that the Magic win that game tonight as well. Plus the 2, plus the 1 is how I would play it, but haven't quite locked that one in. It wouldn't surprise me if the Magic flipped and opened as a favorite. I do think that they win that game today in DC. So best bets are at the bottom for you guys. Chicago minus the 7 for me. Sacramento, Portland under the 231.5. I got a lot of other plays that I'm probably going to end up putting in today. Lakers and Minnesota to go under 232.5 is probably going to be one of them. Also looking at probably the Golden State total as well, and the Phoenix team total to go over as well. So that's what I got for you guys. Best of luck on all your action today. I will be back at 5:30 Eastern time for the Cash It with Chris NBA show. For the Crispy Capping NBA show. And I appreciate everybody for tuning in as well. Let's see who else in the comment section before I get out of here. What's up to Zachariah? S. Dot, good morning, my brother. Justin, what's going on with you? Zoned in, what's up? Corday, 780 guap. Kenneth said hit the like button for me. Definitely helps me out as you guys leave. But also check out the pod, man. I always say, the pod drops about 10 minutes after I do the show. So it's widely available on all podcast streaming platforms. Check me out on the pod, man. Leave me a 5-star review. You guys can go back and listen to the breakdowns of these games as well. But 2 official plays for me. I took Chicago minus the 7. They up to 7.5. Talked about the injury implications in that game. If they are, if those guys sit for the Charlotte Hornets, they will. This line will move. It'll move probably to about 9. So And then Sacramento, Portland, did play the under 231.5 there. Got a lot of looks, man. I'm gonna drive a little bit more into them, and I'll share what I have with you guys a little bit later when I catch you guys at 5:30. Best of luck to everybody today. I'm out.